Hey there, everybody, and welcome to Z-Wink University, where we talk about bug hunting and bug bounties and web hacking and all that good stuff. I want to go over this treasure hunt that I made yesterday for funsies. The entire purpose of this treasure hunt was to reinforce the importance of manual penetration testing in the human brain. I think too many people believe that bots are going to find everything, and there's just some things that bots lack the intellect and the intuition to dig into. In this example, what I wanted to show in particular was how important attention to detail is and reading the responses of payloads to find new things. And we use, one of the things I showed in one of the early Web 101 videos, which was the insecure direct object reference and how it can sometimes lead to other things as well. Not necessarily, PII every time, but let's look at this and see what we see. So I'm going to hit the begin button. People always ask me, how do I approach a target? How do you approach a target? I always start on a target by pushing all the buttons and clicking all the things on all the screens that I can find. Absolutely, because it makes more traffic and it helps you find things that otherwise would not have been there and that the scanner might have missed. Maybe they're DOM based, client side only based or something, and the scanner can't quite execute. So click all the buttons, right? We're going to click this begin button here. And we begin by getting an aren't pop-up boxes annoying? Yes, they are, but that's just for funsies. Now, what I'm seeing on the screen at this point is nothing else. I see no other buttons. I see no other links. There's nothing else to click on the screen. So it looks like a dead-end page, like we see on the web all the time. You request a page, there's no other links on it. It just tells you stuff. Okay. So I want to go back into BERT now and come over to our target tab and our sitemap tab. And what it's got on the screen here is everything that page has loaded so far. And I'm not going to change the way this is laid out. I might just sort it by time descending like I normally do. And we see a post request was made over to Treasure2 begin. Now, there's a lot of avenues and you could go trying to figure this out. And that's why I was surprised somebody saw this in 30 minutes. I had a lot of sort of dead end rabbit hole type things in here that I thought people were going to try to explore. And so I was really impressed that our winner solved this lab, if you want to call it that, or treasure hunt in only 30 minutes. But what we see here is the post was made to treasure2.cfm begin equals 1, and then we get the response code, the response content back on the screen, okay? And when we look in the content on the screen, we see the disclaimer where I ask people not to scan my website because it's pointless, and then we see the actual content on the page. This is the I don't know about you, I'm excited, good luck statement you see on the screen, and then this is the alert aren't pop-up boxes annoying that you saw. Right here, we see a comment that didn't show up on the screen. It's a JavaScript comment that says deprecate begin parameter on May 1st. I don't know what that means. I don't know why it's there, right? But we do know that it pointed to the begin parameter. And in case you didn't notice, we do have a parameter begin equals up here on the screen, okay? So maybe what we do is we send this over to the repeater, okay? And we make it a GET request and see what happens. So let's change the post to a GET. This isn't necessary really, we're just playing like we would, and we get the same response back. So it doesn't have to be a post request, okay? GET brings the same response back. So let's simplify things and not make it a post. Now, immediately whenever I see parameters, like I said in other videos, they jump right at me. I want to play with them and see what happens. So I'm going to change it to a 0. We see we got a different message back down here now. It says error, setting that to 0 breaks all the things. Poof. Well, that sucks. So that did something though, right? Let's set it to a -1. I always kind of like to see what happens if you... All right, see we got no message back that time with a -1. So let's go up from 1 instead and go to 2. I don't know why, but I'm excited about good luck. So that's a normal message and it says, oh, why did you change that? Rude. And then now we change it to a 3 and it says, really, stop changing that, it hurts. Oh gosh, and then we change it to a 4. And it says, okay, seriously, last warning. And what you see down here is, but seriously, try the pickles param instead. So now we've got a different JavaScript comment that comes up telling you to try a parameter called pickles. Now, what I want to point out here is that this comment was easier to notice when you're testing things in the repeater. When you come over to your browser and you're just doing a 2 like this, so you're seeing the pop-up messages but you're not seeing the data behind the pop-up messages. And if I had just kept going, I might have went right over that important comment right here that's telling us about a parameter we didn't know about. Why would that be there? I don't know. Developers leave stuff in comments all the time. So now what we're going to do is come over to the browser. You could do this. Let's just do it in Repeater. That's fine. No, let's do it in the browser. I want to do it over here. Let's go and type pickles equals hi. We don't know what value the pickles parameter takes, right? Or if it even really works. But okay, so that's cool. The pickles parameter brings back a hidden super secret admin login portal. And in case you didn't know, this is very common on the internet to have a pickles parameter bring back one of these, so you should always try that. So pickles equals 1 doesn't change anything, pickles equals 5, whatever. It's just looking for pickles. What if I just give it pickles? Nope, that breaks all the things. So back to pickles equals 1. Okay, so we requested this page. Let's go back over to Burp Suiter, right? Burp Suiter, that's got to be a thing. And see what we have in our pages here. And we see we have anything new, treasure 2, pickles, begin, pickles. Nope, that was just me playing around. All right, cool. So remember what I said, always push all the buttons, right? So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna try to brute force it. Let's do admin, login. Incorrect username and password. If you are a hacker, I'm not scared because this site is invincible. Well, that's good. Okay, so we posted, and when we posted, it took us to a new page called treasureadmin.cfm. I don't think we were on that already. So post treasure admin, okay, cool. Anything new happening? Doesn't look like it. All right, let's go over to view page source. All right. Anything new here that we see? Treasure admin, no, I don't know. All right, so at this point, you're like, do I start brute forcing the dialogue? Well, I don't know, because Z-Wink told me not to use automated scanning tools, and maybe what people did here was they started trying to use SQL injection, right? Do admin, or 1 equals 1 and all that good stuff, right? That would have got you nowhere because this isn't even using a database, which is why I told you not to bother scanning. So let's go up here and click the Show All button. Importance of not hiding stuff out of your scope all the time, and hit Apply. All right, what do we see on the screen? Well, the only page that really showed up different that wasn't here before was a CSS style sheet. And I want to show you a tool. I'm going to have to move the recording area just a little teeny bit right there. Let's do Burp Search. And if you go up to Burp and go to search, you can search all the payloads for things. And let's type in a very common thing that you're going to want to search for in your payloads is password, right? And what we see is all the results that came back with the word password in it. And this is just one way you could have potentially solved this lab. And what we can see here is this form just has, like a variable password text thing in it. That's not anything we're looking for. And admin styles, it's a style sheet, right? And we come down and we see something interesting. What does that say? Well, let me get this moved over because my big head's blocking it. It says, don't forget to tell Billy to update the admin password from canned pickles 1 since we fired Joe Bob for sleeping on the job. So what we found here was a comment left in a CSS style sheet. I don't know why, it was just in there. That had a comment for, a developer to remember to change the password. It's got the password in it, and it's got 2 pieces of information in it. Update the admin password from CanPickles 1. So maybe we have 2 pieces of information here. Maybe we have the username and the password, okay? So now what we do is we come over to here and we type in admin and our CanPickles 1 password. And now it takes us to a new page. It says, oh my gosh, you almost did it. Wow, you actually made it really far using your brain. I wonder what the last step is. And just because I'm mean, I put it inside a path that looks like another IDOR. And you might have sat here messing around with this for a little while, trying to figure out what's going on. And that wouldn't have gotten you anywhere. And eventually you'll come back over here and realize there is an unrequested link to a file, and Okay, this is, and I told you this in another video, that these are really important, right? Sometimes your page will point towards content that it hasn't loaded yet, but content that might be important. And if we go inspect this page in the browser, okay, you have to look at it right here, but you can see in the image tag, there's an alt attribute that's saying if the image doesn't load for some reason, display the contents of this text file instead. I don't think that would actually work in the real world anyway. I just wanted to hide it there so that it would show up as an unrequested item in Burp. Somebody may have actually noticed it in the source code, which is good on you if you did a sharp eye there. But what I wanted it to do was show up as an unrequested item in Burp here. And so now we see a hunt/z.txt. Send that over to the repeater. Right click, send to repeater, hit send. And that is the end of this particular treasure hunt. It says you found the treasure, post flying squirrels as a reply, and get win a hat. So our winner was a person in Afghanistan, which is awesome. And he said he doesn't do much bug bounty, but honestly, if he went through this as fast as he did without going down a bunch of unnecessary rabbit holes with SQL injection and stuff, I mean, that was pretty impressive. So good on him. And I'm mailing him this beautiful hat to Afghanistan, and I hope it gets there safely. So again, everybody, I'll make these little treasure hunts once in a while because they're entertaining, and I think it helps to reinforce knowledge and importance of, you know, looking at how you could just miss vulnerabilities by simply how you have the filter displayed in Burp Suite, right? Like if cascading style sheets weren't shown, you'd have never even seen that. If you didn't use the search function to look for credentials, you probably wouldn't have found those. If you had show only requested items, you might have missed the final, you know, flag file or treasure file, which was the text file. So, you know, details are important in this field. Devil is absolutely in the details. Listen, everybody, subscribe if you want updates. I'm going to keep posting amazing cybersecurity things left and right, as many as I have time for. And stay tuned for the next one. Thanks so much.